A sentence you will often hear regarding gold and silver is that they are only good for wealth preservation and not for wealth creation. Unlike a stock or a bond, they don't have a yield, and therefore you shouldn't expect to get rich by owning them. During normal times, that is certainly the case, but we're not living through normal times. Since 2020, inflation has erupted with an intensity we haven't seen since the 1970s. The increasing levels of debt across the world and the lack of willingness among politicians to rein them in suggest that this inflation is only going to get worse. As a matter of fact, we are at risk of experiencing a global hyperinflation and the collapse of major currencies. I argue that in this specific environment, owning gold and silver can actually make you rich, and in this video I'll explain why. Here's the thing about inflation. It does not impact all assets the same way. Mainstream economists often use the term price level. They imagine the currency as water, flowing evenly to all the sectors of the economy. When the money supply increases, they expect all prices to rise together. But that is not an accurate representation of reality. For instance, when the prices of essentials such as food and rent are rising, people may find themselves forced to cut down on luxuries such as vacations or designer clothes. As a result, their prices won't rise as much, and in some cases, they might even fall. I propose a different metaphor to describe the effect of inflation on the economy. Imagine the carriage of a king, traveling on a country road, escorted by his entourage. Some of his servants are walking by foot, others are riding horses, but they are all following their king. In this metaphor, the carriage represents the rate of inflation, and the servants represent the prices of various goods and services. When the carriage is traveling slowly, the servants have no trouble keeping up with it. Some may lead the carriage by a little, and others may lag by a little, but they are all traveling as a group. This situation represents a moderate rate of inflation of 2 to 4% per year. Now imagine the carriage picking up pace. Most of the servants are still able to keep up with it, but some are lagging behind. The ones on horseback are racing ahead, easily outpacing the carriage. The distance between the servants is growing, as they are struggling to move together. This represents an environment of high inflation, of 10 to 20% per year. In an attempt to maintain their profit margins, manufacturers are raising their prices according to the rate of inflation, but some are struggling to do so because the public can no longer afford their products and demand is falling. These tend to be luxury goods, which are not essential for survival. The products which outpace the rate of inflation are those which enjoy robust demand, and their manufacturers are able to raise their prices considerably without losing market share. Suddenly, the carriage lurches out of control. Its horses are running wild, and the king's coachmen are unable to stop them. The servants scatter in panic. Some of them are still desperately chasing the runaway carriage. Others collapse, gasping for breath at the side of the road. The riders at the front are speeding away, fearful of getting trampled. What I've just described is a state of hyperinflation, in which the public loses faith in the currency. In this case, inflation is no longer driven by an increase in the money supply, but by the rising velocity of the money, or the rate at which it changes hands. Desperate to preserve their savings, the public will convert them into any tangible good. They will often begin to hoard food and other essential items, sending their prices soaring. But since food has a limited shelf life, they will quickly discover the two commodities which are most suitable for wealth preservation: gold and silver. In this metaphor, gold and silver are the two swiftest riders. Unlike the weary servants, who cannot catch up with the racing carriage of inflation, there is no boundary on their prices. While most commodities experience a drop in demand as their prices rise, with gold and silver, this effect works in reverse. The rising prices only encourage the public to buy them more. And since their supply is limited, their potential price appreciation is absolutely explosive. During a hyperinflation, all commodities rise in price, but gold and silver tend to outperform them all, and so their owners experience an increase in their purchasing power. This has been demonstrated many times throughout history. For instance, in the hyperinflation which took place during the French Revolution, as a result of an attempt by the revolutionary government to introduce paper currency. Between the years 1790 and 1795, commodity prices in France rose dramatically. The price of eggs, for example, increased 20-fold, which may seem like an astonishing increase. But the prices of other commodities went up even faster. The price of coal went up 28-fold. The price of shoes went up 40-fold. The price of candles and soap went up 44-fold. The price of oats went up 55-fold. The price of cabbage 68-fold. Sugar 69-fold. Flour 112-fold. And finally wood 125-fold. But the increase in the value of gold and silver surpassed them all. Since they were used as money at the time, they did not have a price in the traditional meaning of the word. But we can look at exchange rates before and after that period. A silver écu coin, which was worth 6 francs before the revolution, was traded in 1796 for 1,500 paper francs, suggesting a price increase of 250-fold. And a gold Louis d'Or coin, worth 25 francs before the revolution, was traded for 7,200 paper francs. This represents an increase of no less than 288-fold. During this hyperinflation, many lost their entire fortunes and were forced to watch as the prices of everyday goods rose dramatically. But those who held their savings in gold and silver coins actually became more wealthy. After the revolution, gold bought you twice as much wood, 2.5 times more flour, 4 times more sugar, 5 times more oats, 6 times more soap, 7 times more shoes, and no less than 14 times more eggs. No doubt, living in France during those tumultuous times was difficult and dangerous. But for those who survived the revolution, owning some gold and silver made life much easier. They were able to feed their families, while other people starved. And when the ordeal was finally over, they had some capital left in order to start new businesses and get on with their lives. Nowadays, we are again living through dangerous times, which threaten to destroy everything we've worked so hard to build. This time around, gold and silver have an even greater potential to appreciate in price, because they are so undervalued and so underowned, and because this time the crisis is happening on a global level. Make sure to get some physical gold and silver in order to protect yourself from what lies ahead. Thank you for listening to the Silver Hermit podcast. If you like this content, please donate in the link which appears in the description below. Please subscribe to this channel and share it with your friends and family. Hit the bell icon to be notified whenever I release a new video. Remember, I am not a licensed financial advisor. This video is intended for general informational purposes only and should not be regarded as investment advice. Before taking any investment decision, please consult with a professional financial advisor who may assess your personal investment objectives and needs.